everybody. This is Pastor Scott. Man, I've got a very special treat for you today. This is my brother Jamie Torres. We're going to share a lot of stuff. We're probably going to make several segments. But we want you to know that we love you and we're here to encourage you today. And we're going to talk about prison ministry and how God put us together and what God's been doing for the last 15 years, I believe it is. So we're going to kind of start out with me sharing about how I met you, and then I'm going to let you jump in. But I was at home. I was actually at church one day, and this guy called me. I'd never heard of this guy before, and I still don't even know his name. The pastor was up in Hickory. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's still the Deets.
Deets, yeah, big fisherman. Anyway, he called me and he said, "Look," he said, "I got this guy that I've heard about or that I know, and he said I want you to talk to him about coming to your prison." He said, "This dude's awesome." And I get that a lot. You know what I'm saying? And now you get people saying, well, man, they do prison ministry and then their life don't back up what people say. And so I always check people out. And so I'll never forget it. I got Jamie's phone number. You was in Atlanta at the time.
Yes, sir.
And so I called Jamie in Atlanta and I said, look, man, I said, I'm chaplain at the Lincoln County Prison and I would love for you to come up and share with our guys. And we had a bunch of stuff planned out. I'll probably let Jamie just talk about that because he tells it way better than I do. But that's kind of how we met. We met on the phone. And the funny story was when you told me that your boss was a hard man. He wouldn't let you come. And I said, let me talk to him. So I got him on the phone. Jamie said, you broke him down like a shotgun. So, but anyway, it was just awesome the way we met on the phone. You was in Atlanta. I'm asking you to come. So you jump in and we'll start there and then we'll go wherever the Holy Spirit leads us.
Yes, sir. Well, it was a crucial time really when you called me. I was working, really helping him out. He didn't speak too much English. He was buying houses and remodeling them and then selling them. So he needed me to supervise and make sure that these guys were doing what they're supposed to. And so then I get this phone call from Pastor Scott Mann, and I didn't know him from Adam Eve, but anyway, he told me, he heard that, and so I said, yes, sir, I would love it. And I said, my boss man, let me see what we can do, and so Pastor Scott was able to talk to him. I decided to come, and I drove. He gave me the address. He said that he was doing a special event every year with the inmates, and they would bring watermelons, and and so he was just mapping everything out for me. And so I said, good. So I drove, and my cousin lives in Morganton, so I was familiar with the area. I've been coming for some years doing revivals in Burke County, and so I came and I thought to myself, I said, well, I'm just probably gonna meet with him and the pastor, and he'll put me up in a hotel. Well, he gave me the address to his home, and so when I got there, first time I ever met him and met his wonderful wife, and from the beginning, from the onstart, I just felt comfortable.
Yeah.
Just felt just welcome. Sometimes when you come down to the South, they call it the Bible Belt. You hear all these horror stories, about, folk being prejudiced and things of that nature. But man, that was far from the truth. When I got here and met him, I felt right at home. And what really touched my heart was he invited me in his home and his little dog. I remember I had a little dog.
Absolutely, yeah.
And anyway, he said, well, you're going to stay with me. And I was like, and his daughter was off to school. He got a son and a daughter. And he said, you're going to sleep in my daughter's room. And that really touched my heart. I said, here, I'm a stranger. This man don't know if I'm a killer. Plus, I'm an ex-convict. I've been in and out of prison all my life.
Well, I had a 45 beside my bed. I wasn't worried about it.
But people don't,
People
don't do that. But anyway, that really ministered to my heart. And then his wife treated me so wonderful, man. And so we we went to, I think it was a birthday party.
Yeah.
Your
Saturday
brother.
morning. Yeah.
And then his wife and him cooked steak for me, and I just felt right at home, to be honest with you. And I was really floored because when I looked at him, I said, man, this dude look like a redneck. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You don't know what to expect. You feel me? But it goes to show you, man, that we listen to a lot of foolishness, and
Yeah.
it tries to influence our concept about folk. And so those walls were torn down quickly. He tore them down, and then we went to the prison, and
That Sunday morning.
and I did my thing
Yeah.
by the grace of God, and he was so touched.
Let me inject here
Yeah.
for a minute. All right, so we go into the prison. I've never heard Jamie preach, but he ministered to me and Glenna that night. Just, I mean, he really encouraged us, spoke some words over us, man. It was really awesome. We had a wonderful time. And ever since really the first time we talked on the phone, it's been like a brother, you know, I mean, really like a brotherhood. And so we go into the prison and he starts preaching at the prison. And I had not even heard your testimony yet, like that. And man, he's preaching, you feel me, man? He's doing all this stuff. He's very demonstrative and everything. And the guys is on pins and needles listening to him. And then he jerks his shirt up and shows all the bullet holes and stuff. And I'm like, wow. So yeah, so we walked out and I said, look, man, I said, I had not planned on you preaching at the church. I don't just let anybody preach at the church. But man, I was crying. I was under it was so awesome that I looked at him. He called me Papa. He said, did I do good, Papa? I said, man, what are you talking about? I said, you doing that at the church this morning. He said, what? I said, you preaching at the church this morning. Anyway, go ahead. You jump in there.
And so we went back to the church, and I was able to minister there, and we had a great time at the church, and just met some beautiful people, man. Just, I don't know, it was just divine connection, to be honest with you.
Our people love you.
Yeah, man, I love them.
They love you.
I love this church. I mean, this is my family. I mean, to be honest with you. But we, by the grace of God, God established our hearts and knitted our hearts together. We've been together 15 years, and been a pleasure serving under his leadership. You know, he got me to. Oh, so I went back home, and then about a year later, the Lord was dealing with me about moving down, and I didn't want to move down here. But you know, I went through a terrible divorce. But I went through a terrible divorce, got sick and everything. But my children were living down there in Jessup, Georgia, and I was living. I didn't want to leave them, so. But God kept dealing with me, man. So anyway, I finally yielded submitted to God, you know, to come down here, and been an honor and a privilege to serve under him. Because then when I moved out, I got in touch with him. He got excited. He said, "Well, you can probably come and volunteer your service for the prison." Excuse me. And so, I did that. You know, did the paperwork, and I've been serving. One of the things that you know treasure our relationship is the trust factor. And I love you, man.
I love you.
You know, every time he goes out to, you know, he does a lot of mission work, and he goes to different countries. Well, he would call me and said, "I want you to fill in for me." Mm-hmm. And I thought that was, I mean, out of all the things, what an honor, you know, to be able to find some other preacher that you can trust. It's sad that in the ministry, we can't.
Especially when you ain't there.
Yeah,
especially when I'm not there.
I know.
Yeah.
And so I don't take that for like granted, never ever. You know, and I come in when he's not here, and I honor him and I honor the church, and I just preach what the Lord tells me, and I don't mess around with doctrines. I don't come with none of that. I just preach Jesus and go on by make sure that the house is good, everybody good, and so that's been a tremendous blessing in my life to have him trust me with the flock here, because he's done, you know, he sacrificed him and his wife a lot, you know, to build what he has. we have to be very careful that people come in and tear up something, you know. So I'm very mindful of that, you know. And so 15 years and we're going strong in the prison ministry. He's done an awesome job. Uh, uh,
We're gonna get on that in a minute, but how much we get? Okay, what I want you to talk about one right quick is I can't remember how it worked out, but you got to bring your wife here. Tell about that
well,
because
well,
y'all came. You came from Atlanta. You like got off the airport and came straight here to tell a church or something. I forget how that happened.
well, you know, in 2009, the Lord, you know, I went through a terrible time, depression and everything. And then the Lord, you know, the way He knows how to do it, He had this preacher from Florida call me, an elderly man of God, powerful international ministry, said that the Lord put in His heart for him to take me with him to different countries.
Wow.
And it just, I mean, it was tremendous because I was dying. And at first I was like, man, you don't need to take me home. And anyway, I went with the intentions of carrying his bags and just serving. And one time we was in Mexico and somebody made a boo-boo and they scheduled him to preach at two places at the same time. And so he sent me, he said, you go to that place. And that opened a whole bunch of doors because the Lord, His grace and His anointing fell on me, and I went and spoke, and the people went crazy. They got back to him and said, "We want more of this guy here." And so he started taking me, and so I went to Ecuador. I've been there like 3 times before I met my wife, and I wasn't looking for no wife. Didn't want no wife, but it goes to show you. And so I met her there in 2009. Didn't see her for 2 years, 2011, and then went 2011 over there. Took Feltenberg. He was the man that gave me my first job coming out of prison. He's like a papa to me, so I took him with me so he can interview this potential wife. I didn't want to marry the one woman, so I took him with me, and we went to Ecuador. And he told me, he whispered in my ear, he said, "He's the right one for you." And so I married her over there in Ecuador, came back and got me a lawyer in Brunswick, Georgia, and was paying him little by little. Because by this time, I'm doing full-time ministry. And so little offering come, and I send little money. So it took me 3 years. I didn't see her to 2013 because I wanted her to come legally into the States. So we finally got her in, and then she came in and out to Miami, and I went to pick her up, and she's been here. Now we have 3 beautiful children.
Amen. Yeah.
We have Jonathan David, our oldest, he's 8. We have Isabella Grace, he's 5, and now we have the little baby boy, he's 17 months, Prince Benjamin.
Prince Benjamin.
Yeah, Prince Benjamin. So that's what we've been doing.
So we're gonna wrap this one up, and then we're gonna come back in a few minutes, and we're gonna go back in the prison ministry and things that God's been doing in Jamie's life. So we'll be right back here in a few minutes.